Welcome to Shalom World Podcast.
Welcome to Shalom World Podcasts. We have the honor of sitting down with a renowned author, speaker, and advocate for purity and authentic love. Joining us is the inspiring Jason Evert, founder of Tuus Press and Chastity Project, whose mission is empowering hearts and minds to embrace the beauty of chastity. Get ready for a captivating discussion as we uncover Jason's journey, his profound insights, and the impact of his work on countless lives.
Welcome back. This is Shalom World, and we are joined here with a special guest, Jason Evert. Jason, thank you so much for being with us and taking the time to chat.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be on.
Awesome. Now, you are here with 350 pilgrims.
Yes.
How was that?
I'm attempting to keep track of them, but not having much luck. It's a lot, yeah.
Oh my goodness,
Yeah.
I can't imagine, 99 sheep and one gets lost, but 350, and
Yeah.
then keep them all herded together.
Find one or two of them.
That's awesome. Now, you've been to World Youth Day many times over the years.
Yep.
How has this World Youth Day experience been for you so far?
Oh, it's been beautiful. And unique joy in this one is I brought two of my teenagers for the first time. So, as a father, I had my first World Youth Day coming out of high school, John Paul II, Denver, 93. But to be able to have my own teenagers, then have them get to see the fullness of the Catholic faith is a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Awesome.
Jason, when I remember a few years ago now when I got to see one of the talks that you were doing,
Yeah.
I was involved in a prayer group called Pure in Heart. And it was that moment that so many young people have, I think, when they hear you speak on chastity, that you go, why did nobody tell me about this before? Why did nobody, are you still getting that when you're speaking to young people, that it's still, the culture it's so countercultural to talk about chastity?
Yeah, all they've heard is what not to do. Don't do this and don't do that, don't do that. You're going to get pregnant and go to hell and die of a sexually transmitted disease. Like, that doesn't motivate people to be chaste.
Negative, yeah.
It doesn't impel them to virtue and to love. And so that's why John Paul II said, chastity can only be thought of in association with the virtue of love. If we don't make that connection in their minds, they're just going to see no reason to be chaste. And so what we try to teach them is chastity frees you to love, and it frees you to know if you're authentically being loved. So Steve Jobs, who invented Apple, said people don't know what they want until you show it to them. And so what we need to do is show them the beauty of God's plan for human sexuality, then they're going to want it.
And of course, our deepest desire is to be loved. And, I'm sure it's happening in countries all over the world, all of this kind of sex education in schools. And so certainly in Ireland, the latest draft in the Irish schools, the word love is not mentioned, So how do we kind of fight against that when it's so pervasive in the culture? And these young people here today, they might have heard you speak and they're on fire and they're going, this is what I want.
Yeah.
How do I live it out in the culture of today and the friends that I have? How do you practically live it out?
Well, you think John Paul II, he would always proclaim, do not be afraid to be the saints of the new millennium. It isn't about just winning a debate. It's like, live this out in your own life. Live this in your dating relationships. Discover the vocation God has given to you. Because if you think, what is the instrument God used to bring redemption to the world? A little holy family. And God doesn't change his ways. And so that's what's needed, are just holy families to be able to live out this message day to day, not by arguing people out of their lifestyle, but just living what God is asking us to live in human sexuality. And I think that'll speak for itself.
What I appreciate about your approach is that you are so gentle and loving in the way that you portray the beauty and the goodness of what we're made for, as opposed to, I feel like my generation, what we were brought up with was like, don't do this. And I just want to commend you on your efforts, because I think people are longing, the culture is longing for an answer that makes sense, but is also communicated to them with the goodness, right, for their good. And so have you had stories of people that have like come to you and shared, like, man, I never got this until it was communicated to me in a way that made sense, in a way that was loving, rather than a way that was admonishing and angry and malice.
Yeah, well, one girl came up to me just recently and she said that she was in a real toxic relationship, and then her campus minister gave her a book that I wrote with my wife, How to Find Your Soulmate Without Losing Your Soul. She read it before the first chapter. She broke up with her boyfriend, and then she said, I've since bought 1,000 copies of that, and then she said, I now use it to minister to women in prostitution leaving the sex trade industry. And so it did come full circle. I was talking to some of the pilgrims from Ireland, and they were sharing with me how much Ireland has just rebelled against the Catholic faith, and it's almost like the faith was just force-fed into them, and so they rejected it, and now they come to the point where they're throwing the food back at the chef, but eventually they're going to realize, I'm kind of hungry. I could go for some food. Maybe what they were force-feeding me was nourishing, it was just the wrong delivery.
Thank you for joining us today. Tuned into Shalom World Podcast for this extraordinary event that celebrates faith, love, and unity.